LadyLucidity ASMR. Hello there, my lovelies, and welcome to another art video. So, the last 2 days I have been off work, and I thought, what better time to make some fresh artwork than today. So, this video is not a tutorial, although if you'd like to try this at home, please feel free. The materials I'm using today are a mixture of clay, paint and gold leaf with some crystals that you'll see at the end. So this is going to be much more laid back and more you guys watching me create. So I had this idea of making a 3D piece, but not entirely a sculpture. I guess you could call this a mixed media piece. And I wanted to have this branch coming across, and instead of painting flowers, using some crushed glass and beads. So at the moment I am wetting my clay and adhering it to my canvas. I'm just checking in the viewfinder that you can still see it clearly. Sometimes my camera tends to lose focus occasionally by itself. It has a mind of its own, let's just say. So I'm using small pieces of clay to build up the structure of my branch. So again, just wetting it slightly and moulding it into strips and just pressing it on like so. And because this is quite a natural looking structure, I'm trying to make lots of grooves and divots, things you would naturally see in tree bark. And I'd like to make sure that I merge the end with my canvas. It helps it to adhere better, so I don't need to use glue or anything extra, just the clay slip. Okay, so I'm going to carry on working along this edge. As you could tell, it was a very windy day when I decided to do this. So I did have to take a few breaks because it is very, very cold in the paint tent at the moment. Unfortunately, we've lost all of our warm weather now here in the UK, so it's been rainy and very cold. So I've not been able to spend as much time out here creating as I would like. So I think future art videos might be something less messy and indoors. But I have also been working on some Halloween craft videos for you guys because I know you love them. So I'll be finishing that up later tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. So I didn't use any particular brand of clay for this. I know I wanted it to be white because I'm going to be painting it gold. So I wanted it to be lighter rather than say a terracotta or a grey clay or even red. But it's not a big fancy brand name, just something cheap and cheerful that I got from a craft shop, because this is going to be one of my more expensive pieces, so I was trying to save the pennies where I can. The gemstones are the most expensive part of this make. I think the whole bag cost me, was it 10 to 12 pounds just for a bag of gems, effectively, but they're very beautiful and so worth it. So it's nice to be able to splash out now and again for some of my pieces. And now I have my afternoons free mostly, as my little boy is at school now. So when I'm not at my day job, I now have time to make and draw, which is super therapeutic for me anyway. I'm not sure about my neighbours. Hear me dropping paint cans and putting my music on, but I try to stay in my little tent bubble. There's nothing better than sitting, making things with a cup of warm hot chocolate and some jazz in the background. Super, super chilled, which is what I like. Doing art to a deadline was never my forte. But if any of you guys like this particular piece, I will be selling it, hopefully on Etsy, and in the future I'll be making similar pieces. So you guys can purchase them from there, or I can make custom pieces if people are interested, as I am a freelance artist after all. Not that I used to have much time for it, but okay, so I am rambling on today, I do apologise. So I'm just carrying on the branch further up. Just reworking my clay because this did take quite a long time to do and it started to dry out, so I had to re-wet it several times. Okay, roll out our sort of worm shape, I guess you could say. Some of you guys may know this already from watching my older videos, but one of my favourite things to draw and create pieces from is organic forms, so trees, plants, flowers, rocks, things that just sort of form naturally. So we're almost there. I just have a few more smaller branches. So now I'm just adding an extra layer of texture. So I've just got my knife and I'm very lightly just grazing over the top of the clay. I don't want to go too deep, so any bits that I feel are too deep I just smooth back out. Just going back over them. So you can see now this is much later on in the day. The sun is out, so very, very bright, especially with a white canvas, but persevered for my art. This is where more of the detail comes in. We've got our smaller branches, so these are going to be where the gemstones will sit on, and you'll see that later. So here I'm just finishing off a few more last little bits, and this is where it gets really tricky, a little bit fiddly, to blend them into each other, and trying my best to keep them on the canvas. Okay, so it's looking a little bit spooky, a little bit like a winter tree, but soon it will have some gorgeous flowers on it. So I've got my paintbrush here, and it's literally just water. I've got a little cup to the side, and I'm using this to help blend my smaller branches. Okay, so roll out another piece. Twist it off. It's the same technique I used in my Minecraft video to get that kelp, sort of seagrass texture. Just smooth it out. One little twist. Okay, add that one there. A bit more water. make sure it really sticks. The last thing I want is the clay to dry and then fall straight off the canvas. So so now for the fun part. So I'm using this gorgeous gold acrylic, and it's really thick, but it has the most gorgeous shine on it. I don't know if you can see, it's proper gold paint. It's hard to find a really good gold paint. I usually pay a little bit more for my metallic acrylics just to get that good amount of shine, and this one's a really good texture. So I might have to do 2 coats of this just to make it really pop, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I love this gold. If I could, I'd paint everything with it. I've even used it to paint plant pots and candle holders with. Let's just work it over the entire branch. It dries quite quickly, so I have to work fast. Okay, so this is the second layer, so it's looking a lot better. But you can see the shine and the highlights on the raised edges. I just love it, I think it's gorgeous. So now we have our gold. I'm going to add an extra layer of sparkle with some gold leaf. So at this stage the paint is still a tiny bit wet, so it should stick really easily, as you can see. If the paint was dry, I would add a layer of PVA first, just to get it to adhere, but gold leaf is very temperamental and you have to go delicately with it if you're covering, say, an entire flat surface maybe. But for this I'm just dotting it overall. Just gives the tree extra texture, I think. Just adds that something special, you know. Okay, so we'll just put another strip on there. So I'm using a dry brush to pat it in to those crevices. Take another piece. As you can see, it just floats away with ease. So at this point you can see it was raining. So luckily I was nice and dry in the paint tent, but I wanted to make sure that I got my gold leaf on before it started to downpour sort of heavily. The worst thing I've had happen to a piece of art is I was working outside during the summer and I left a painting to dry on my garden table, and as it happens in the UK, we had a random shower of rain and all my paint just drained off the canvas in one big spill. So this is another good reason why I have my paint tent. So once my pictures are done, I store them in the back corner until I put them up in my house or wrap them up for shipping off. So you can see it really makes the branches pop, adding this gold leaf. It's so pretty. I don't want to overdo it, so I'm not adding it to every single branch, just as more of a highlight. Making sure it's laying flat. Okay, so this is really starting to take shape. I'm happy with it so far. Just adding last minute touches. I am very much a perfectionist when it comes to my art. If something doesn't look right, then I just scrap it and start again. I know that's really bad, but I can't help it. It just bugs me if something doesn't look right and I hang a piece of art. It would bug me forever. So I actually have a couple of canvases that have had ruined artwork or stuff that I wasn't happy with, that I'm going to recycle and make into new work because I hate wasting things. So I always try and reuse everything as much as possible. So you'll see here I've popped some craft glue onto my canvas, and these are the beautiful rose gemstones that I ordered. Now I'm being very, very careful. To press these quite hard onto the canvas, and I'm using a lot of glue for this so they will stick afterwards. Okay, just just push those on. So this bag is a mixture of rose quartz, tumbled stones, and some are lighter than others, but that's absolutely fine. The clear ones are kind of mixed in. I think it makes it a bit more interesting visually to have a mix of them rather than just all one colour. So I moved my canvas to my table outside so that I could lay it down. That way the gems will stay on the canvas and then dry solid, so no accidents here. Okay. So again, being very liberal with the glue, just sprinkling on smaller ones, and then as I get towards the outer edges, I am picking out the longer beads to put around the edges. So at this stage I was getting very excited because I could finally see what my vision for this piece was coming out as. I always have this idea in my head of what I think it's going to look like, and it was making me really happy that this was starting to turn out so well. Very what's the word? Satisfying. So these are some of the slightly longer pieces. So I'm just going to twist it round, adding lots and lots of glue, and this is just a PVA craft mix. Again, nothing too fancy, but I know this one has a strong hold, so I'm happy to use it for this project. Just giving myself a rough idea of how far out I want all these gems to go. Kind of drawing a rough outline with the glue of how far I want it to go. Just plonk some of the longer ones on the ends. Okay, just work around down to the bottom here. So I've got a small selection here that I'm just picking out the longer ones first, and then filling in the gaps with the smaller stones. Just work in all the gaps. Okay. So some areas don't have as much glue on them, so after I pop these down, I did drizzle, as you can see, some glue on a little bit more. It just holds it all together so it's one solid piece. We don't want any gemstones falling off. So it's starting to look really good. I'm happy with that. So these are the clear ones you can see there. I'm just wondering where to put that one actually. Just stick these last few around the edges, and then that one I actually put in the middle of my tree. Okay, so last finishing touches, I put a tiny amount of gold leaf over some of the gemstones, just to give the illusion of the gold branches kind of breaking through. And then finally, I'm using my Galleria gloss varnish. You could use a spray varnish for this, but I'm using a wet varnish just to seal it all in. So this is still drying, but it gives you an idea of how it would look. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.